Hey there. Welcome to part two of this week's highlights call. Yesterday, in part one, we kind of covered everything we're going to cover today at a high level. But today, I'm sitting down with Bree. She is one of our clients' sales reps, and she has a lot of experience with selling ceramic coatings specifically. So, Bree, thank you so much for making the time and sitting down. How are
Thank
you?
you for having me. I'm good. How are you, Sal?
I'm great. I'm
Great
great.
to
It's
see you
great to
today.
sit down with you. So, real quick, before we dive into today's topic, which is going to be how to deal with price shoppers, I want to talk a little bit about who you are, Bree, and your experience around selling ceramic coatings. So, I guess my first question is how did you get into sales? And then how did you get into selling ceramic coatings?
Yeah, so I actually have more than 15 years of experience in the sales industry. And so I've done a number of things. I've sold copy machines, for instance. The security systems were a strong point in my career for a long time. Credit cards, you name
Wow.
it, and I've sold it. And so I really have a proven track record of helping my clients get their desired outcome. In terms of getting into ceramic coating, and so I met up with my partner, Alex. So I've been knowing him for a long time and knowing my background in sales, he wanted to get me on board. So we sat down, we had more or less a discovery call to see what areas I might be able to help in. And we've been doing great ever since, doing great business and getting some clients to the table for him.
Okay. So, if I remember correctly, you've been working with Alex for going on a year, if not already 2 years.
So about a year and a half now.
Okay, nice. Let's jump right in. So, if you're new here, every week in these highlight, podcast series episodes, we like to break down what our top clients are doing and see how we can apply that to any business out there. So, to dive right in, today I want to talk about how to deal with price shoppers from your perspective, Bree, as a sales rep, somebody following up with leads every day, on the phone with them every day. Because we talk with Aaron, we talk with our other sales coaches, but they're kind of in a weird spot because they're the business owner and they're the ones doing the selling for their own business,
Hmm.
right? So it's kind of hard to get them to pin down and sit down for an interview where we can really dive into their sales process. So, first thing I want to touch on when it comes to dealing with price shoppers is walk me through, Bree, if you can, walk me through the best case scenario, right? If everything goes according to plan, what does that sales process look like from the moment that you pick up the phone to getting their deposit or scheduling them in? What does that entire process look like?
So that entire process is going to look like getting people to know, like, and trust you. And so it's important to have that process that will allow you to communicate with your potential client enough time to where they're wanting to close that deal. So when we get them on the phone, we want to do enough digging. It's almost in the sense where we're in a doctor's position, right? So you want to find out exactly what those pain points are, so really dig in deep to investigate that pain. If you have a headache and you go to a doctor's visit, if they send you away and prescribe a pill, of course, how would you feel about it, Sal?
Right. Yeah. It's like they kind of remedied it. Maybe the pain goes away, maybe it comes back. But, I don't think we addressed the underlying issue there.
Exactly. So the issue is not only one malpractice, right? But you would also feel like that person does not care, that doctor did not care. So once we get our client on the phone, we have to be a good doctor, a good salesperson. So we have to prove that we're listening, number one, and then tap into that pain to really determine how to best help that person that's on the other end of the phone. Listen to their concerns. So then we'll know exactly what solution to prescribe to them later on when the time is right. So all of those
Got
things
it.
are gonna, yes, sir, yes, sir. So building rapport, assessing what those pain points are, actually telling them what we have to offer. And so many times it's important to recognize that this starts long before we get on the phone with that person.
Yes.
So we want to, of course, establish value with video creation. So, Sal, you talk about that a lot in your weekly sales meetings, how important it is to have that video content out so that people know you already before they're
Yes.
even on the phone with you. And
Yep.
then once you have them on the line, you can actually walk them through a little bit of your process and then speak to the benefits of exactly what you do and what problems is going to solve for them. So people don't buy products and services, Sal. We all know that they buy solutions to their problem. So
Yeah.
what am I solving? And
Yes.
that's what we want to speak to on the phone with the client.
Yeah. And you brought up a really good point there that you alluded to the sales process started during the ads, right? Right.
Mhm.
So, or this could be them looking at your websites, messaging you, seeing your Facebook page, right? I think the sales process really starts whenever that lead, that qualified lead, finds out about you. That's where you build that trust. You can showcase things like your quality of work, your experience, right? All of those things that make your shop unique. So that's a great point. And you brought up a good point of being a doctor, right? Trying to find the solutions in a more tactical sense. What does that look like? What kind of questions are you asking initially to kind of get that information from them?
So you want to ask some framing questions. So you want to find out first off, you're building rapport with the person. So if you can find any common ground, what area are you in? Oh, and it's really hot and humid out here, especially in New Orleans. That's something that's always going to get us on kind of a rapport kind of platform. And so that's what you want to start with. And after that, you want to find out more about the vehicle. And then so what color is your vehicle? When's the last time it's been to the spa for a spa treatment? So if you can get
Right.
them laughing, ha ha ha, oh, it's been a while. If you can get them laughing, then you've already broken a little bit of that ice by telling a joke. And so you want to again find out more questions like that and find ways to compliment them when you're able to. So I take care of my vehicle. It's been to the detailer. It hasn't missed a week. Oh wow, I can really tell that you care a lot about your automobile. That's amazing. Not enough people do. We absolutely want to get that protected for you. And so being able to again assess how much they care about that vehicle and what specific problems that they're having by asking those types of questions. How long have you had the vehicle is another important one. So many times as that person that's sitting on high level, we can see that the vehicle is maybe a 2016, but we can't see when that person purchased it. So are
Right.
they are they the first owner of that vehicle, or have they just purchased it last week? And so that's all information because it's going to change kind of the direction of the call just a little bit. So if they're the new owner, if they just bought it last week, that's another way to build rapport. Hey, congratulations on your new automobile. We definitely want to get that all shined up for you. And what are your concerns also in terms of ceramic coating? Why did you call us? What prompted you to call? What do you know about ceramic coating? So all of these things are going to frame the conversation for later on when it's time to provide solutions for that person.
Got it. Okay. Those are really well thought out questions. And it sounds like the initial part of the call is just trying to find some sort of common ground with them, right? Cracking a joke, complimenting them. And then the next step, I guess the question I have before we go to the next step is how would you deal with somebody who is a little bit more reserved, right? They're cold in their tone, they might be a little bit monotone. How do you kind of crack that egg with that person?
So you want to kind of find out if that person is more along the lines of a shy person or if they're strictly business.
Mm,
And
right.
so, with a more soft spoken and mild person, you can push a little bit harder. With a professional type oriented person, you kind of want to again dig more into those questions and get them talking so that when they do come back on that back end, then you're ready for them because that's going to really be the price shopper and that's going to be the person that's on the line trying to find out what you have for me, right? and
Yes.
and so it's going to be more of a pressured conversation perhaps later on. So you really want to pay attention carefully to what they're saying. You want to make sure you kind of start to eliminate that small talk if it's starting to get weird
Yeah.
completely, and then you can use the information that they're giving you again towards the end of the conversation.
Okay. So, how long would you say that you're in that initial common ground phase, right? That building rapport phase, time wise?
So you let it go on for as long as that person allows. And so you really have certain individuals that you'll come across that might be older and they don't live with
Yeah.
anyone else. They
They
want
just
to
love to
talk to
talk. Yeah.
want to talk.
Okay.
you know they want to tell you about their retirement and what they have going on in terms of hobbies or other vehicles that they have. You let them go into it. So for as long as it's reasonably comfortable, to stay in that conversation, in that small talk rapport building piece of the conversation, then I would do so.
Gotcha. Okay. So when you're initially picking up that phone, I think the biggest mistake that I see detailers that we talk with every day make is they're going right into the pricing, right? Because a lead calls them up like, "Hey, just want a quote on my 2023 Honda Accord," right?
Mhm.
And they give them a number right away. Would you say that that is a good approach, right? More of a direct approach, or is it better to kind of ease into the sale with building rapport, explaining the process? Which approach have you found to work the best for you?
So it's always going to work a little bit better if we're able to slow the customer down, in a sense, or the potential client down. So we want to give them, or let them give us the opportunity to confidently communicate that we can solve their problem again. And
Mm,
so you have to have that time period to speak to the desired transformation that they're looking for. So even if you know a little bit about ceramic coating, sir, you might not be familiar with our process, and I would love to
yes,
explain that to you. And so, if you really get deep into the emotional problem that you're solving for this person, you can literally sell anything, literally
that's a
anything.
great point.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Yes.
So, what are some of the key words that you're looking for that person to say to kind of say, okay, I know what his diagnosis is going to be. I know what to recommend to him. It sounds like a ceramic coating might work for his vehicle or it might not work for his vehicle. Are there certain keywords that you're listening for there in the beginning part of the conversation?
So I'm looking for triggers that tip me off to the fact that they're having protection concerns, maintenance hassles. They're concerned with the aesthetic appeal of the vehicle. Another one that's really interesting is a resale value. Is what
Mm,
you might not think about right off the bat when we're speaking to somebody, but eventually you might want to resell this car. Or how much time and effort is it costing you right now to maintain your vehicle with a weekly, bi-weekly wax? So how much time and effort is going into this vehicle right now? So in addition to saving you everything else, right? I can save you on some time also, and that's what I'm interested in. So we'll be able to again speak to that pain point too. So those are some of the things that we listen for on the phone.
okay, so to recap, it's either going to be the protection side, the ease of maintenance, the shine, or maintaining the look of that vehicle, right? The longevity side, where maybe it's a brand new vehicle or it's a brand new vehicle to them. They want to keep it looking nice, right? For years to come, 5 years, 10 years down the line. So I'm just going to pick one of these routes to take. Let's take the protection route, right? So let's say that that lead that calls you up, they said something that triggers you to think that they are looking for the protection aspect when it comes to a ceramic coating. Once you've identified their dominant buying motive, like the reason why they're looking to get their vehicle coated, where do you take the conversation from there?
Mm. Well, yes, sir. We'd be absolutely honored to protect your vehicle for you. What you'll be happy to find out is that our ceramic coating forms a durable protective layer over your vehicle's paint. It's going to safeguard it from scratches, swirl marks, environmental damages. So at this point, I go into acid rain, extreme heat. So here in New Orleans, I can speak to the extreme sun rays, uh,
Yes.
acid rain, the humidity, the moisture in the air. So, what is all of that doing to your vehicle? And I also try to paint the picture for them of things that they've seen in the past. So, in the past, they've seen either with their vehicle or vehicles on the street where that vehicle starts to dulling out. And at this point, I say, Mr. Customer, have you seen that? Have you seen where your vehicle has a past vehicle you've had, it starts to dullen a little bit? Or have you seen that with vehicles on the street where the hood is just completely discolored? Well, here's what we want to do. We want to stop that from happening to your brand new investment here. And so that's exactly what ceramic coating is going to do. It's going to stay, your vehicle's paint is going to stay in pristine, in a well protected condition by making sure that we're protecting it from the elements and all of these other threats.
Yes. Great point. Another thing, just as a side question, one thing that I've noticed with talking with our client sales reps is that they shy away from using technical terms like decontamination, paint correction, or if they do mention them, they explain them as well. Are you doing something similar to that where you're not necessarily throwing a bunch of jargon words at them and Do you find that people get confused when you do throw those kind of words at them?
I feel that there's a proper time for that to happen during our call. And so when I do speak to the prep work that's done, I will use business jargon. And that's very brief. That might be out of the entire conversation, maybe one or two statements where we're talking about paint contamination. So that doesn't happen for an extended period of time. Want to make sure that we're speaking on the customer's level because again, everyone that calls is not going to be a car enthusiast, and
Right.
so you don't get a person emotionally involved by using verbiage such as decontamination. So yes, I feel that it's a necessary part of the conversation, but we want to keep that really, really brief. If they like an explanation behind something that we say, we want to offer that to them. But for the most part, everyone wants to get back to the reason that they wanted in the first place, and again, listen to that solution that you've got for them.
Gotcha. Okay. And just to transition here, we kind of covered the first part, which is building rapport, breaking or having common ground, finding some sort of common ground there, and then transitioning to explaining everything. So that's what I want to talk about next. How do you highlight the key benefits to like the protection aspect when it comes to explaining what a coating does, how it could benefit their vehicle, right? So I would say we covered the first part, which is building rapport. Now I think it's explaining the process slash building value. How do you build value if somebody is looking to protect their vehicle, right? They want that protection aspect.
So again, we speak to everything so when they want the protection, typically anything that is motivating a person to buy are motivating a person in general is everybody's motivated by fear or love. We've heard that before. Either
Mm,
fear or a love-based choice. So when they're speaking more to the protection, they're fearful of something happening in the future. When they're talking about the aesthetic, then it's out of the love for the vehicle. I want it to shine brightly like it never has before. And so that's what we speak to. And so if they're talking protection, then I just do a little bit more to try to hone in on some of those fears that they must have in the first place. So
and
yeah,
what do you find to be those common fears that people mention to you or you bring up and they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. What are those common fears that you hear?
yeah, so just as I mentioned, those hoods that look a little rough,
Yeah,
that we've all seen. So if you tell that to anyone, if you speak as I'm sitting here speaking to you, you laugh because you have a mental image of hoods that you've seen
right.
that way. And
Yeah.
so that person on the phone, it happens the exact same way. They're like, "Oh man, I do not need that to happen with the car that I just got." And so we speak to that exact pain point. And yeah, so let's go ahead and protect your vehicle from sun damage, oxidation, acid rain, all of the weather elements. Let's make it easier to clean for you so that it repels off things like bug splatter and bird droppings, because that's going to have that brand new investment that you have, that's going to have it looking pretty ugly. We don't want that. We want to make sure that it stays in great shape for you.
Gotcha. Okay. So, how do you go about explaining all of this to somebody who might not be familiar with ceramic coatings at all, right?
Hmm.
I think this is something that we see across our entire client base that we're able to tap into a market where it's not just car enthusiasts, it's people with everyday daily drivers, but they're just looking for that protection or they just want to restore that shine. They want to make it easy to wash. So when you take somebody like that who's not a car enthusiast, who might not know a whole lot about ceramic coatings, how do you go about building that value with them?
That's a very great question. So in terms of building that value with them, so the way that we can describe a ceramic coating is like it's like a wax. It's like a wax on steroids. It's 10 times stronger than any wax that you can get. So
Right.
that takes some of the work off of your plate again in terms of maintaining it. You also want to speak to a person not needing to invest in another car anytime soon or invest in a paint job. So all of these things, they're costing more and more as the days go by. Everybody's worried about their pockets right now. But if I
Right.
can prove to you where this ceramic coating service is actually going to save you some time, hassle, and end up in the long run saving you some money, then we have a lot more of a conversation to have the doors a little bit more open for us to have a longer conversation about it.
Got it. So when it comes to the benefits just generally, with ceramic coatings, what tend to be like the strongest selling points when it comes to the benefits?
So those strongest selling points for me, for us that we've seen in the past, Alex and I are going to be making that car almost. We want to get it to where it's in a fairly new condition. So our
Mm,
objective is when you pull away from us is for you to feel like you're in a brand new vehicle all over again. That's our objective. So we're gonna, in addition to everything else that we're doing, so you want to kind of list what it is that you're providing them with by the time you get to exactly what you're offering. So we want to give you 3 years of protection. That's going to look like one layer of ceramic coating, but not only one layer of ceramic coating to the exterior paint, but also ceramic coating for your windshield, all of your windows, the face of your wheels, and then we're even going to give you a complimentary detail for the interior of the vehicle as well. And so you get all of that for the low, low price of this, right? And so that's the solution that we found. And so itemizing actually what that customer is getting, and then at the end making sure to mention that, hey, by the time we do this, you're going to be in a brand new vehicle all over again. And that's what we want for you. We know that you're in a 2016 right now, but we want you to pull away feeling like you're in a 2024. That's our objective.
nice. I love that. Okay. So now that we understand like the building rapport stage, kind of explaining the benefits, do you guys explain the process, like what the vehicle will go through to that lead?
We do, just a very
Okay.
high level of what that process looks like. So we don't drill too deep down in it. We just say that we're doing a complete restoration to the vehicle's paint. So we're going to give the vehicle a thorough washing. We're going to clay bar decontaminate it. We're going to polish. Here's where the voice gets a little bit animated. We're going to polish out any surface scratches that you have in the vehicle surface paint. We even do a paint correction where need be if that's something that needs to happen. And then at this point, only then do we apply the ceramic coating after that vehicle's paint is as close to perfect as we can actually make it. And then in that way, we make sure that the paint is beautiful underneath, right? And then also that the ceramic coating is able to bind properly with those paint pores and that it's done right, Mr. Customer. So that's what we specialize in.
I love that. I love that. And one thing that I kind of want to touch on right now, just because it's, so front and center, is your tonality. So, how would you take somebody who doesn't have experience with sales? What kind of tips would you give them when it comes to tonality and the way they talk?
I would tell them first off that we're all salespeople, right? And so we're selling even when we're not conscious about it. Anytime you're trying to get your way on something, you're selling someone on
Right.
something. So it's important to consider how your message is coming across. Would you listen to you if you were talking? And if the answer is
That is
no,
a great point.
pretty monotone, then 9 times out of 10, that person on the other end of the line won't either. And so you want to make sure that you're excited about what you're saying, that you are using some fluctuations in your voice, right? So that it's not all here. Nobody wants to listen to this. You want
Yes.
to add excitement to it. And
Yes.
if you need to hop on YouTube, do some free courses on YouTube that have to do everything with speech quality and in speaking voices and presentations, and get involved with your actual advancement in your business, and it will pay off.
Yeah. And one thing that I've noticed just observing those sales reps that we stay in touch with our client base is that they emphasize their tonality a lot, right? They pause when needed, they talk low and slow when needed, but they're also able to go kind of higher energy when they notice that the client's excited. And I say all of that because I think this is something that makes the biggest difference in the sales process, right? If you can seem super relatable, if you can lower somebody's guard and build their trust, now you've kind of made a friend, right? You've turned a stranger into a friend in probably within 5 minutes.
Hmm.
So if you could do that, then you're able to hook them into where you can explain your process, the benefits, right? And then transition to the close. As far as building rapport, explaining the process, highlighting the benefits, is there anything else that you mention on the phone call with the lead before transitioning to the sale?
Before transitioning to the actual sell, so I just wanna make sure that I'm doing absolutely everything. The key word in my mind is always urgency, and so
Mm,
whatever else needs to happen in order for them to feel that this is an urgent matter, to get them less focused on price, of course, and not the price, but how badly you need it, and so I wanna position the service in that way, and so
gotcha.
whether it's reminding them that we only have this promotion for this month, in any way that I can get them off the phone and come into the facility. So that's going to be the objective for us, because a lot of people will forget what you say, Sal, but
Yes,
in terms of
yes.
that visual and actually seeing the results in person, so past the videos work beautifully, beautifully. But if they can actually be there and Mr. Customer, hey, we'd love to have you in for a free in-person consultation this week. We want to come up with a specific game plan to protect your vehicle, to give it that shine. We want to take a look at the car in person to let you see the results of our work, let you see our facility. We have a brand new facility. It's beautiful in 20 on 26th Street in Metairie. So we know that you'll love it as well. So if you would like to, we'd love to see you this week for that free in-person consultation. And we'll even do a free test spot for you so you can see exactly what the product is going to look like on your vehicle.
I love that. I love that. So, okay. So you try to get that person into the shop. Do you, depending on how the conversation goes, do you decide to give pricing over the phone or nudge them towards that in-person consultation? How do you make that decision over the phone?
I try to put myself in the mind of a customer. And so hopping off of maybe this first interaction with someone that I've seen on Facebook, typing my information in for a lead, right? Calling them, I'm talking to them for the first time over the phone. Maybe I haven't had a chance to look at any of the video content. Maybe I wasn't curious enough to visit their
Mm,
website. If
right,
that is the case, then it's kind of a stretch for something I was just considering. And we're doing great up until this point, and then they ask for maybe money right now, and it's like, whoa, how did we get here? And so
right.
and I've heard, I think it might have been Patrice that mentioned on the line that it's important, and even some others, to have them come in. So we want to have them come in because this is a sales funnel. We hear that word more and more in 2024. So a sales funnel, that person is at the top. So our
Right,
objective, there are steps in between. You have to work them down that sales funnel. And so
right.
it's going to look like some getting them in person. So again, whether you're looking at the videos at home or not, after this conversation that we're having over the phone, I want to meet you in person. Let's meet up.
Nice.
Let me see the vehicle. Let's talk about how we're going to protect it and add that shine. And you're going to love what you see here. It's brand new. We work on a whatever vehicle they have is whatever kind of vehicle you work on, right? So if it's a high end vehicle, we work on a lot of high end and luxury vehicles here, classic and vintage cars. So we know that you're going to love what you see when you get here. And so
Yes,
working them down that sales funnel that way. And even so, it's important that we have processes in place to stay again in communication with this person. So
gotcha.
a lot of times we can drop the ball by just, oh, they didn't go for it that time, or
Yes,
that they'll think about it. That happens sometimes, regardless
yes,
of what you say on the line. It's gonna happen that they have to think about it. They're not ready to move forward. It was the first time they saw ceramic coating. You're the first
yes,
conversation that they've had. If that is the case, then that person needs to know more about you and what you do. So let's say you are able to get them in, and it's, oh, I really love what I see, but it's not the right time. You say some things to try to coax them along to see if it can happen. If that does not work, you don't just let the ball drop. It's so important
yes,
that we have these automated processes in place to follow up with that person, whether we're able to move forward with them or not. And so we need some text messages going out. Email campaigns are helpful. We want to continue to try to contact them by phone. Hey, Mr. Customer, just checking on you. It's been a while. And so we've decided to run that promotion again for the month of July, and we want to see if we can have you come in. We know we did the free in-person consultation, but we didn't get a chance to do a free test spot for you. So maybe allow us to do that if you're willing. I want to show you exactly what the product is going to look like on your vehicle.
And that's one thing that I think is super important to mention and follow up on is what their vehicle would look like, because it's very hard, like with a product, a physical product like a phone, for example, you can touch it, you can feel it, right? You know what you're paying for when you buy that phone. But with the ceramic coating, you don't know what you're paying for, or you don't know what the end result would look like until you've already paid for it. So trying to that mental picture or that actual photo or video of similar vehicles you worked on only
Mhm,
helps, right?
mhm,
So, and then another thing I want to mention is you brought up a really good point about following up, right? And I think the reason why follow up is so important is because the closing rate on a phone call is fairly low, right? If you
mhm,
compare it to an in-person consultation, on average, across our client base, you can expect a 20% closing rate over the phone, depending on your pricing, your packages, right? Obviously, that's going to be a little bit higher with an entry level package, a little bit lower with a 10-year or a lifetime coding package, right? So, yeah, following up is super important because the chances of you closing that lead are fairly low right off the bat because you haven't built that trust, you haven't built that rapport, you don't know exactly what timeline that person's on. So if you can gear them towards an in-person consultation and follow up with them to schedule them in, make sure they show up, now you're increasing your chances of that person going from a lead, a stranger, to a customer just by how you interact over the phone or in person. So this is amazing because you're not pressuring them, you're not like trying to close them on that first call, right?
mhm.
It sounds like Bree that you're following up with them, you're trying to get them to actually come in person to increase the chances of that person becoming a customer. Is that
Of
correct?
course, it is, it is. So we want them to get familiar with the actual detailer, right? And so getting a chance to again know them, being their presence, and allow them to position themselves as the authority. So come in and see the full experience. And then also during this time, I think it's so important to really figure out who all of the key decision makers are going to be. So like you said, the sales process or that sales cycle is so much longer because we're dealing with something that's a little bit more costly. So how many people have to call their wives because they're purchasing a pack of gum at Walgreens? They
Right.
so this involves maybe some conversations. So you want to find out who all of the key decision makers are, and so that they can come in for the consultation too. So if a wife comes up, or hey, is there anybody that would need to hear this conversation as well? Anybody else in your household that would want to understand the benefits of ceramic coating for your vehicle? Is it a family car? Well, have the family come in with you. They'll want to be a part of this conversation. And so, in that way, you're kind of doing away with that objection so that it does not come up later on. So, everything else sounded great and I'm sold, but now I got to go back and talk to my wife. Well, we could have been talking to her the entire time. So, let's
That
just
is
try
such
to
a
get
great
her into
point.
the facility as well.
Nice. That's a great point. And it sounds like you're kind of getting ahead of those objections before they even pop up. You brought up a good point earlier about urgency. How do you implement urgency into your sales process over the phone and ultimately in person?
And so again, that urgency, you want to make sure that you're reminding them. So they might have seen on the computer there, or Facebook, where we had this promotion going on for a month and it's limited. You have to take advantage of it now. So that's what we want to drive home. So the same reason that they called, the same reason that they're getting the quote is they can get forgetful. They can get laxed and forget that, hey, this is a limited time offer. So we want to make sure that we're reminding them of that. And then also with something like a ceramic coating, you want to remind them of all the things that could happen if they don't take action. So every day that passes is another day that the sun is beating up on your paint. Is it garage kept? Is it garage kept all the time more than when you're at home? Is it parked in a garage at work? Is the vehicle being driven during the rain? All of these things are beating up on your vehicle's paint because again, a customer just like you and I were trying to protect our pockets, right? And so that's what's in the forefront of their mind. That's what's right here in their mind
Right.
when they're having that conversation. So you want to, instead of them focus on price, every all of the urgency, you have to take it from the back of their mind and move it upward. So
That's a
everything in
great
that
point.
conversation has to be focused on, again, that pain, that fear, that love, right? And then move it to the front here.
That's a great point. So when you're trying to paint that mental picture for them, for that person to see those things, right? To bring those things top of mind for them, how are you kind of molding that into the conversation?
So again, you want to make sure that you're speaking to the benefits. If it's a time of efficiency, because you're visiting detailers having the vehicle waxed more often than you would like to. Well, Mr. Customer, I want to free up some time for you. So less hassle of having to deal with constant car maintenance. So that's part of what this ceramic coating is going to do. So it's always going to look like the pain, then the solution. And then you speak
Yes.
to pain, solution, benefit. So the solution, again, in every situation is going to be that coating, but it's going to be, in this situation, is going to provide a high gloss finish that protects the vehicle, right? And it's going to eliminate completely the need for that wax to happen. So what does that look like for you? The benefit overall is going to be saving time.
Yes. Okay, that's a great point. You mentioned promotions earlier. So, why is a promotion, would you say a promotion is important to the sales process? If so, why?
I would say that a promotion is definitely going to be helpful, just because we all want to justify purchasing something, especially when it's a big purchase. And so anytime you can give them perceived value where I'm getting more for my money, you're also increasing a loyalty. There's a likability. Oh, this guy likes me. He wants to give me a discount, added incentive. My business means that much to him. He wants to earn it. You increase the affordability when you do that. So all of these things are going to allow them to give themselves reasons to justify the purchase in the first place.
Yes, 1000%. And that's exactly why we're so adamant about promotions, because you don't want to do a promotion where you're actually discounting your prices,
Mhm.
right? I think the best thing to do for anybody listening, if you're advertising, I would account for the discount in your prices. But the framing of a promotion or a discount works so well because that's what helps somebody justify the price. Hey, John, normally this 10-year coating package with one step costs $1,700 for your vehicle. Because of the promotion we're running, we're going to knock off $200 if you can book within a certain time frame,
Mhm.
right? So it's a fair trade-off, right? You're giving them a discount if they're able to meet a certain criteria. Are there other ways, Bree, that you implement urgency in your sales process?
Again, speaking to the cost savings, speaking to the time that is going to save them, speaking to investigating in terms of how long do you plan on keeping the vehicle, right? Oh, so you're planning on reselling the vehicle sometime soon. Okay, well, this matter of paint is absolutely going to come up again when it's time to resell it. So we want to, again, protect that investment and make sure that when you're reselling, you're getting what you want for that car, right? So if that is an issue that comes up, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not thinking about that, right? And so you make tomorrow's matters a part of today for them by putting it right here in this conversation, and telling them that it's everything that they need to be concerned about, not tomorrow, but right now. And so
Yes,
in order to help you solve that problem, tomorrow's problem right now, here's what I'm going to do because I know that you need to get this done. So let's get that promotion working in your favor, and let's pick a time to do this.
I love that. Okay, so now that we're in the closing aspect of the entire conversation, the entire sales process, how many people have an issue with coming into the shop? Is that something that's a common issue, or is it something that people are okay with? Do you run into any objections when saying, "Hey, let's bring the vehicle into the shop"?
The only objections I pretty much get is you have a lot of people that are working overtime right now. You have
Mm,
some people that are only available on something like a Sunday. So for those, it gets a little bit complicated. Or if they plan on being out of town, if they sometimes they say, "Oh, I'm going out of town on next week." but I'd love to when I get back. The answer typically is when you position it like this, the answer is typically that they want to come in and see you is the bottom
Yes.
line. They want to come in and see you. It's just a matter of when can they do that. And then I make sure I mention, well, hey, we're also, we're also open on weekends. So Saturdays 8 to 1, if you can come in, we'd love to see you then. So and we're even open until 6 during the week if you would like to come in after work. And whatever obstacle could be preventing them from getting there this week or even next week, guess what? We're going to call them again. So that's not the last time that we're going to hear from them or they'll hear from us. So automated text messages, so using those sales funnels properly, you want to make sure that you're getting in touch with this person again after you've had these conversations. So if you have vacation time coming up, I want to see you during your vacation time from work because again, are you driving that vehicle to work every day? Okay, well some time has passed then. And so it's even more pressing that we get that ceramic coated right now. And so
Yes.
just continuing that follow up with them.
Okay. So we've gone through the entire conversation of talking with a stranger, somebody who likes the benefits of a coating. They see a shiny vehicle. They want their vehicle to look like that in the ad. You've built rapport with them. You've explained the process. You've transitioned to the sale. But I want to talk about your follow up process. This, like you mentioned, is a part of the sales funnel. And for those that are unfamiliar with the sales funnel, at the very top of the sales funnel, you have whatever marketing or advertising you're doing, right? You're casting a big net, you're letting people know about the service that you offer. And then one step below that is people who are interested, people who have expressed interest. Maybe they like your page, maybe they send you a message, email, right? They interact and they show interest in some way. And then the next stage, I think, would be the follow up process, which is where they've seen the ad, they've submitted their information, you've talked with them, but that time frame, we want to shorten that time frame.
Mhm.
How do you go about your follow up process, Bree?
And so you want to make sure that not too much time is passing. And you want to, again, get them to know you. So all of these interactions are going to help. You have a notes feature in your Go High Level account. You want to make sure that you're taking some notes. So if you talk to that person and they had a family reunion coming up, or if they had broken their leg, all of these things are things that they'll tell you in the rapport building part of the process. So if you speak to them, like document some of these things.
Taking
And then
some
that's the
notes?
yeah. And then so the
Nice.
next time you speak to them, "Hey, how's your leg doing?" And they're like, "Oh, wow, you remember that it's actually healing up." And so once you start a conversation like that, somebody is a lot more predisposed to listen to what it is that you have to say.
Mm,
And then so again, also not letting too much time pass. You want to make sure that if they told you, "Oh, hey, well, I'm going to be out of town and I'll be out of town for a week and a half." Okay, well, so you should be scheduling a follow up call in a week and a half. So they gave you the key to when it's the best time to get in touch with them. So, hey, I know that you must be back from that trip. How was it? How was Ohio? Was it amazing? Okay, great. We definitely want to see you now that you're back home safe. Happy that you enjoyed your travels. We want to see you for that free in person consultation. We definitely would love to have you come in this week. What day would be best for you? So, making sure that we stay in touch, keep those lines of communication open as many times as we need to follow up with them. We're purchasing these leads, right? So we have to make sure that we're doing something with them.
yes, yes. And that's one of the biggest mistakes I see as well is clients, detailers we talk with, they make the mistake of thinking that the sales is a make it or break it on the first attempt, right? They think that, okay, I gave this person pricing, they didn't schedule, they're a lost cause, right? Or there's no need to follow up with them. Can you walk me through how quickly you're responding to somebody as soon as they become a lead?
So the goal is within 5 minutes is actually the goal. So as soon as we get that notification, we're on the line. Hi, my name is Brianne. I'm with Dapper Auto Salon. It's a pleasure speaking with you today. And then again, jumping right into rapport, but that first 5 minutes is what we aim for. And then if they are not responsive, then we're sending them, hey, is it better for you to communicate via text just to get a pulse, right? So we want to
Yes.
kind of, yeah, check the pulse on them. Is it better for you to communicate via text and continuing to reach out to that person because they called, right? Or they submitted information for a quote. And if that doesn't work after the next couple hours, the goal is to call again. Meanwhile, all of these text messages are still going out. And it could look like, to spice it up a little bit, like every text is going to sound different. Hey, a representative tried to give you a call. Is there a better time for you to speak with us? And then you'll notice that after a couple different touch points, or if you get some of these individuals around the right time, so it might be that during their work week, their work day, they didn't have time to really speak on that level, but they got home, they just happened to be getting a text message from you around 6 p.m. Oh, I forgot, I let me text back. Yeah,
Yeah.
tomorrow will be good at my lunch. Right. So then you've set up a time to talk. And so some of these leads are going to take a lot more work, a lot more coercion, right, to get them on the
Yeah.
actual line, but that's going to be the goal.
Yes. So, anybody listening, just know, especially when you begin advertising for the first time, maybe you don't have the name recognition, right? You're just starting up. Just know that in the beginning, it's going to be a manual sales process, right? It's not as easy or as straightforward as selling a detail or a wash and wax, right? Something less expensive. With ceramic coatings, it's a service that people don't know exactly what they're getting until they've already paid for it. So you have that working against you, you have the pricing working against you, but with enough touch points to somebody who's interested, you're catching them at the right time, you're giving them the right information, you're giving them the experience that they wish, or the experience that they want. Now you're turning that stranger who just like the idea of getting their car coated, but they're just kind of shopping around for price. They're not super serious about getting it done. Now you've turned that person, you've given them all the information they need to make that decision confidently. So, Bree, can you tell me about some other aspects that you use throughout the sales process, whether it's text, phone call, voicemail, where you implement urgency as well?
So we do absolutely send out a mass text every now and then also with,
Yes.
again, we're offering that promotion, that $200 off. We've decided to offer that for this month of July as well. So we'd love to have you come in for the free in-person consultation and the tour of our facility. Would someday this week work best for you? Which day would work? And so we're able to get that, again, that message right in front of them. Ideally, trying to target that person, if it's not a mass text situation, trying to get them on the phone to revisit the conversation that we had the first time. Sometimes you don't want to go all the way back to step one with a person, but if so much time has passed to where life has gotten in the way, these people have kids and jobs and relationship issues. There's so many other things that they have been concerned about, to where everything that you said on the phone in that first conversation, they were with you. Oh, yeah,
Right.
you're absolutely right. I really need to get
Yes.
that done. That's super pressing. It's very important. And then in the midst of life, they've forgotten everything. And so sometimes it's important to pass a mass text, pass anything like an email, calling them again to, hey, this is why we need to get that car protective way. I remember, again, it's in my notes. I remember you told me you wanted to resell this vehicle. You don't keep your vehicles very long. So we have to make sure that that paint stays in pristine condition. That's of the highest importance right now, right? Because what's going to most motivate them than their own thoughts? So you're just
Yes.
goes back to them, even though it's been a minute. It's like, hey, remember you said this? I'm here to help. And so in that way, you can usually get a person to move or to come in.
Yeah, and something that we hear from other sales reps is that just listening, right, taking notes on those key details of what they have going on in their lives make the follow up so much easier because now you have something to lead with. Hey, John, like you mentioned, how's your trip? How's your dog doing? Right. So now you can just put your foot in there. And now you can open the door and it becomes a lot easier with the follow up process.
Yeah. And also, if I might add, when you're back on the phone with this person, sometimes they've forgotten the conversation that you've had.
Yeah.
It's like
Yes.
Brianne from Dapper Auto Salon, and they're all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. So you can hear that it's more of a business. Oh, what does this person want type of thing. But then when you remind them of the conversation that you had, that wasn't even about the car. Like, how's your leg? I know you told me that it was broken. It's like, oh, you know what? It's healing up. I reminded you not only that we're here, but that we were friends on the phone the first time by the time we finished talking, and you told me all of these things, and I'm here to check on you, one, building that rapport or establishing it. And then we also still have this great service that's going to solve all of your problems in terms of the paint for your vehicle.
Got it. So when following up, Brie, how do you kind of tiptoe that line between not seeming super pushy and like just trying to follow up with them? How do you balance that?
Typically, it's something that they've told me before, usually a timeline that they've given me. Oh, I have a work project for this week and next week. Okay, well, hey, I know your work project should be coming to a close, and you might have a little bit more time just to pass by and see us. We'd love to see you. So again, taking everything that they've used and kind of using it against them will always help to disarm them.
Got it. And just out of curiosity, do you mold and like reshape your sales process depending on the age of the lead that you're talking with? Because I think what we see as an advertising agency across the board is that most of our clients are between 40 to 60 years old. Do you communicate with somebody at that age range differently than somebody who's younger or maybe older than that?
So I communicate with every person at the level that they like to communicate. And so people will tell you what their communication styles are. You can hear that relatively quickly after being on the line for maybe 30 seconds. So whether
Yeah.
you need to speed it up or slow it down will always be up to that person, despite age or anything else.
Mm. Okay, so you're kind of trying to match their energy, right? So
You have to, yes, sir.
how do you identify that? Like, do you kind of put them into buckets? Do you say, okay, this person's extroverted, they're talking fast, they're energetic, I have to match that, and vice versa? Are you kind of
Exactly.
looking out for those things?
Exactly, exactly. So you absolutely wanna you don't wanna really necessarily lose your energy, if somebody doesn't have their energy for you to give back, because that doesn't
Right.
make for an exciting conversation, of
Right.
course.
Right.
But if you have someone on the line that's very authoritative, you can hear that. "Hey, let me know tell me what you got for me," right? Like, that person is
Mm,
very, very straightforward, and so you wanna try to slow them down without it ever seeming like you're trying to waste their time, right? Because that
mm.
person is trying to get
Wow.
to a bottom line. So you have to be able to discern what type of a person that you're speaking with up front so that you adjust your sales process or your talk track accordingly.
That is a great point that you mentioned there. So when you're trying to identify like that person's personality, and let's say somebody's coming at you full force, they're adamant about getting pricing out of you. How do you slow them down to where like you need some information as a sales rep, the lead needs to provide that information? How do you guys both kind of compromise if somebody's coming at you in a more aggressive way?
So you want to make sure that you're complimenting that person, right? Oh, I can tell that you know a little bit about ceramic coatings. Would that be right? Okay, and so that's wonderful. So even though, of course, you know so much about ceramic coatings, but I would love to tell you about exactly what we do here at Dapper Auto Supply.
Mm,
That's going to benefit you. That's going to be the most important thing that they need to hear. So what is it about us that makes us different? And a lot of times if we frame it the right way, they'll allow us, not very long, it won't be very long, but
right.
they'll allow us some time to actually speak to what it is that we do, and how it can benefit them. Again, you want to slow them down by asking, what is it, since you know about ceramic coating services, so you must know exactly what you're looking for. So what is it that has you interested in a ceramic coating for your vehicle? And then usually you'll get something from them. They'll tell you something, right? And you want to run with that when you have the opportunity to.
Okay. And do you find that if you talk with somebody the right way, with your tonality, the way you're structuring the conversation, do you find that you're able to kind of lower their guard and build that trust after just, letting them know that, hey, we need some information from you and kind of educating them from that approach? Do you find that it becomes way easier when you do that?
Most times it will. Most times it will. Sometimes you'll have some individuals that are just strictly business, no matter what, and they're great too. A lot of times they will be still willing to come in for a free in-person consultation, which is completely fine because I need all of your senses engaged in order to make this type of a choice. And sometimes over the phone they might not have all of the patience. You can slow them down to a certain extent, right? But ultimately the end goal is to get them into the facility where they can see everything, they can get to know Alex in person, right, get to know his personality, get to see the results of the work, and then okay, well, when can we get a definite 30 minutes from you, sir? We'd love to just see the vehicle. So, and when they're able to do that, then there's a much greater chance at actually nailing that person down for a sale.
Yes. And we've emphasized the in-person consultation aspect a lot. Why do you think that the in-person consultation way of selling works better than over the phone?
So again, over the phone might be that person's very first time even considering ceramic coating, right? So they've
Right.
requested a quote. Now I'm talking to this person, and this is just something I happen to scroll past on Facebook. I love how the cars look; they look amazing, and so it might be something that I want, but I have no knowledge of ceramic coating. I don't know what it is, what it
Mm,
can do for me. I just know that it looked nice in a picture or in a video, and if that's the case, that sales conversation, that phone conversation has to be immaculate, right? We have to have a great conversation over the phone. But even with that, this is just something I started thinking about this morning. And getting them into the facility after explaining the pain points, the solutions, the benefits, again with something visual that's going to stay with the person so much longer. So in addition to that video, you're letting them come into your facility and see your process, meet your team that are working on the cars, let you see the results of our work in person. We want to do all of that for you. And as you mentioned, even with the test buy sale, you want to give that person a mental image of what it's going to look like for them specifically. And a lot of times, once somebody can picture what that's going to look like for them, then they're okay with moving forward. It might take a little work, but if they commit to coming in, then they're already moving down that sales funnel that we talked about. So
yeah.
that's our objective.
Yeah. Somebody who's making time in their busy schedule to come to your shop to learn more about your process, you can't get more serious than that, right? That person is ready to commit, right? They've shown a lot of interest. And like in person, when you're selling in person, it becomes a lot easier because now you can meet John face to face. You can shake his hand. You can get to know what kind of person he is, why he's looking to get his vehicle coated. So, plus, like you mentioned, Bray, now John gets the opportunity to meet your team. They get to meet the owner, right? And I think all of this adds to the experience when somebody's looking to get their vehicle coated, right?
Exactly.
Because they're probably not doing that if they're going to pay a lower price, right?
Mm,
They want to know who's going to be working on their vehicle and if the shop that they're taking it to is reputable and
mm,
trustworthy, right?
mm.
From start to finish. I think that's like the underlying thing, whether it's over text, over a phone, or you're selling in person. You want to build that trust. You want to lower their guard. You want to be friendly. You want to, educate them, let them know what they're buying and how it could benefit their lives. So I say all of that because I think fundamentally the most important thing is building that trust, building that rapport, being friendly. Bree, what would you say are the more important things in the sales process? It could be at a high level or something more tactical. What would you say is the most important thing throughout the entire sales process?
You want to position yourself as the authority. So in
Mm,
addition to
yes,
developing that relationship and then
yes,
positioning yourself as the authority. Another thing that I like to use over the line before we get that person to come into the facility is hey, we've been in business for 17 years now. We have the 700 five-star reviews on Google. And so we are specialists in the ceramic coating in the detailing industry, but specifically with ceramic coating services. So this is the place that you want to have a service like this done. So positioning yourself as the person that has the knowledge as well as again that solution.
yes. And I just want to add to anybody listening that this is not just specific to coding businesses that have a physical location. You could do the same thing if you're mobile. You can go to the customer's driveway, you can go to the garage, bring your tools to illustrate what you're going to be doing and how the heavy cut pad works, how the medium cut pad works, and kind of illustrate the process there. We've seen a lot of clients that have success with something like that as well. So this is like what we're talking about here is not specific to just like physical brick and mortar businesses. So Bree, what would you say are some of the most challenging aspects of being a sales rep, specifically in ceramic coatings?
Specifically in ceramic coatings. So I don't think I look at anything as a challenge in that way. It might be an obstacle that we have to get creative, right? So I might have to get a little bit creative in overcoming certain parts of the conversation. But I think that those matters, there's not one that's harder than the next.
Mm.
And they
It's just
might
how you overcome them.
it's just how you overcome them, and they might show up at different parts in the conversation. So you might have one that comes up even in as soon as rapport. You have another that comes up when you're trying to do the discovery and assess exactly what the pain points are. Definitely some that are going to come up for price, things that are going to come up when you're trying to get a person to come in. So you can look at it as how creative can I get with overcoming these obstacles using the things that I've already been told by my potential customer.
Got it. Okay. So now that we've gone through the entire sales process, Bree, we've covered the follow up as well. If you're open to it, Bree, what do you say we do some quick role playing? Right? I'm the lead, you're the detailer or the sales rep answering the phone. How does
Sure.
that sound?
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
fantastic.
Okay. I don't have anything in mind with this, so I'm just going to go ahead and let's just pretend the phone's ringing. You pick it up, you introduce yourself, and then we'll start from there.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So phone rings, you just now pick up, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Hi, this is Brianne with Dapper Auto Salon. I'm looking for Mr. Salvador. Is this him?
Yeah, this is him.
It's a pleasure speaking with you today. How are you feeling, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. Busy day at work. Busy day at work.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. And what do you do for work, if I may ask?
Oh, I work in online advertising. Yeah, we've had a crazy busy week. Things are breaking left and right, but hey, I have a great team behind me.
Okay, wonderful. I know a lot of people that are getting into that as well. But hey, I'm definitely giving you a call, sir, regarding the ceramic coating for your vehicle. It looks like you have a 2016 Toyota Corolla. Would that be right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Now, may I ask what color it is?
It's red. It's like that apple, like that candy apple kind of red.
Candy apple red. Okay, and I love how you described it too. Wow. So you must be passionate about this car, and that's a beautiful color. We absolutely want to service that paint for you here. How long have you been owning the vehicle now?
I just got it. The vehicle, I bought it used. It's new to me. I did notice that the paint was a little, had some rough spots here and there.
Some rough spots. Okay. So is that what has you looking to get the ceramic coating, the rough spots that you want restored?
Yeah, I saw your guys' ad. It showed somebody polishing a vehicle, and like I saw how shiny it was after it got polished. I want my car to look like that.
Oh, we want it to look like that too, sir. And of course, it's never fun. You got this brand new car, right? And you got some rough spots. I'm sure you want to be
Right,
excited
right.
about it, right? That
Yes.
candy apple red. You want to be excited about it, but you just keep looking at these spots that need addressing, and we absolutely want to address them for you. Yes, sir. May I ask if you're familiar with ceramic coating at all?
Not really. I mean, I've seen, once I saw your guys' ad, I read some of the wording in there, but like to me, it sounds like it's like a wax. Like I did a little bit of research, but I'm not exactly sure, you know, how different it is from a wax.
Well, sir, it's like a wax. So you're spot on. It's kind of like a wax, but it's 10 times stronger than any wax that you can get. So what that means is that it's
Wow.
going to protect your vehicle's paint, right, against dirt buildup, sun damage, oxidation, acid rain. It's even going to repel off things for you like bug splatter and bird droppings,
Mm,
making your vehicle so much easier to clean, right? So what we want to do of course, is after we have that ceramic coating applied to your vehicle, we want to make sure that paint is protected. So that's what we're going to do for you here. In addition to that, it's really going to add to the aesthetic for you. So giving your vehicle a completely unmatched shine, one that it's never had before, not even when it was brand new. Okay, so we want to take this
Wow.
2016 and turn it into a 2024 for you. That's the
Wow.
objective.
I do have a question though. On the passenger door, there's like this deep scratch. Would the ceramic coating help fill that in, or like, can you guys do anything about that scratch? It's pretty deep.
So what we do is we do a very thorough prep work to the vehicle. Is that the only area of concern on your vehicle? In
That's like
addition
the
to the rough
biggest.
spots?
Yeah, that's the biggest. Some rough spots on the hood, at the very top of the car, but that scratch, I think it's down to like the primer. It's a pretty deep scratch.
Pretty deep scratch. Okay. So typically your ceramic coating, we do a full restoration of the paint. I want to start by addressing that. So we do a very
Okay.
thorough prep work in the vehicle before we even apply the ceramic coating. That's going to look like washing the vehicle very thoroughly. We're going to clay bar it to make sure that it's smooth and decontaminate the paint. We polish out
Mm,
surface scratches that might be present. Typically, this is going to be more for something that's present in the surface of the vehicle,
mm,
but we definitely want to take a look at that so that we can find out together how to come up with a game plan to address it. We even will, to those rough spots, we will even do a paint correction where that becomes necessary. So we do all of that in order to restore the vehicle's paint to a factory like condition long before we get to the ceramic coating process.
mm.
And then, so again, we want to get that paint to where it's as close to perfect as we can make it. And that's what we really specialize in here, Mr. Sal. So we've been in business for 17 years now. We're
Wow.
rated 5 stars with more than 700 reviews on Google.
Wow.
So yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we really take pride in what we do. What we'd love to do, if it's at all possible, is we'd love to have you come in for a free in-person consultation so that we can look at that exact problem area that you're concerned about, and of course the rest of the vehicle. We want to have you come in for that free in-person consultation, do an assessment of the vehicle. At that time, sir, we'd love it if you could take a tour around our facility. We have a brand new facility that's absolutely beautiful. It's on 26th Street in Metairie, and we work on a lot of vehicles just like yours. You'll find Corollas and Camrys here, some Maximas we just worked on that are pretty comparable to what you have. I believe we have a 2016 Corolla here, if I'm not mistaken, right now, that
Oh,
has
wow.
actually just been ceramic coated. Yeah. So we'd love it if you could come in and again see the results of our work in person, and then we'd love to do a free test spot on your vehicle as well, so you can see exactly what that product is going to look like for you. What day might work best for you to come in this week? We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 6, and Saturdays, 8 to 1.
Got it. Okay. I'll have to check my calendar, but all of that sounds great. But how much does it cost?
Yeah,
Can you give me like a ballpark range of how much I can expect to pay?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so basically what you're looking at, so just like we mentioned during our Facebook ad, you have a $200 discount right now, Mr. Sell, that you're able to utilize. And so we want to make sure that we're getting that applied for you. And so what that's going a package would look like for you is a 3-year protectant with one layer of ceramic coating. Right now, sir, that's starting at only 1050. And for that starting price of 1050, you not only get the one layer of ceramic coating to the exterior paint, but we also are going to go ahead and ceramic coat your windshield, all of
Mm,
your windows, the face of your wheels, and then we'll even give you a complimentary detail for the interior of your vehicle as well. And so you get all of that for the starting price of the 1050. And mind you, that is in addition to all of that prep work that we said that we're going to do to get your vehicle restored to a factory like condition also.
got it. Okay. So does that 1050 include the $200 discount, or has
So
it been
that
applied
that
yet?
1050 is gonna that starting price of the 1050 is gonna include that $200 discount. We would love to again though see your vehicle in person, so that we can give you a spot on assessment and again tackle that deep scratch that you have on the passenger side. So we want to figure out how to get that resolved for you. Let's come up with a game plan together. Do you think that you
Okay.
might be able to come in on sometime tomorrow?
Tomorrow I'm busy at work, but Saturday probably around 10 a.m. I work, but before we pencil that in, I actually did get a quote from a shop nearby, and they quoted me 950. Do you guys do any sort of price matching, or like I'm just trying to see if I'm comparing these prices correctly?
So we do not offer price matching, but what we would love to do again, as I send over our address to you, I'm also going to send you our website so that you can really do a deep dive into our customers' testimonials here.
Mm,
You can do a deep dive into some of our video content. So we really want you to look at those reviews as well that are on Google. So again, we have been in business for 17 years. So we speak highly of our services, of course. Anyone that has come through our shop, obviously with the 5-star reviews, they're speaking highly as well. And so our most important, our priority is making sure that your vehicle's paint stays pristine and well protected. And that's what we're here to do for you, sir. And so we know that you'll see the value in our services after you do that full investigation of our website and come in for that free in-person consultation.
okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. I don't know exactly when I'm looking to get this done. I would say sometime probably within the next 3 months. Am I calling? I'm calling around getting prices, but I'm probably not ready to pull the trigger for another 3 months, right? So would the discount still apply when I'm ready?
So that discount is gonna actually be for it's gonna be for this month of July.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we want you to consider the passing of time that's happened. And have you ever seen, of course, even with your vehicle, you've seen some areas, some rough patches. What do you think that put those rough patches on your vehicle in the first place with the previous owner? Of course. How do you think they might
Man,
have gotten there?
he must have parked it out in the middle of nowhere during summertime because there is a little bit of some cracking with the clear coat, nothing crazy. I'm hoping the ceramic coating can help, but this car was their beater, right? This car was like the car that they use for road trips. I think a college student owned it before me, so you know how they can get, right? So
Of course.
yeah, I'm just trying to, give it some TLC to make it
Mm-hmm.
look better, right? I want to keep this car probably for the next 5 years. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, we definitely want to because it again, there are already all of these imperfections that are present in the vehicle, right? From
right,
scratches, to squirrel
right.
marks to other damage. And we're sure that your vehicle is spending some time at least outside right now being driven and right. Is it garage kept at all?
No, not right now. I do have like one of those canopy covers. The sun isn't beating down on it directly, but at work it is exposed. Like it's an open parking lot, so that's where it spends the majority of the day.
At work, it's exposed. Okay. And
Yep.
that's probably actually the hottest part of the day, right? Do you
Right.
work on regular hours?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So that's going to be the hottest part of the day. Right now, there's it's summertime. That sun is
Right.
blazing. Yes.
Yes.
So, in addition, with most, when you're having a conversation with an individual that has a newer vehicle, sometimes you want to stop some of these things from happening. In this event, sir, we definitely want to stop these conditions from worsening, right?
Mm,
And so, a lot of what's going to take place in that prep work is going to be to remove the damage that has already been done. And so we want to go ahead and do some damage control by not allowing it to get worse. So again, we mentioned kind of starting prices, so that starting cost or where the cost actually ends up for you is going to depend greatly on what it looks like by the time we actually start to work on it. And
mm,
so we're extending this wonderful promotion, but in order to save a little bit of money in addition to that, we want to make sure that yeah, we're getting ahead of these threats. We would suggest, you said that you're able to come in on Saturday. We'd love to see
yeah.
you on Saturday. If we're able to, if you love what you see and you're able to leave the vehicle with us, you're welcome to. If not, let's try to get something set up for the week coming to where you can drop this vehicle off. Again, get ahead of these threats because we want that vehicle to look good and feel good for you. Again, we're doing that interior detail for you as well. So we want this vehicle to look and feel good for you for the entire duration of the 5 years that you're going to own it. And Mr. Sell, you deserve to feel excited about the vehicle that you own, the brand new vehicle, brand new to you, right? And not have to think about those previous owners every time you get in it, right? So we're
Right.
excited to do that for you, sir.
That sounds great. Before we schedule that in-person consultation, I'm gonna have to talk with my wife. I don't make any big financial decision unless I talk with my wife.
Mm.
So let's see. Let me tell her about our conversation here, and I'll get back to you.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. You'll be happy to know that, again, in addition to the consultation being free, you can come in at whatever time you decide to on Saturday. So there's no harm, no foul there. If you decide to not leave your car with us, so there is absolutely no commitment for the free in person
Mm.
consultation. In addition to that, we'd love it if we could meet your wife too. So we. As we're having this conversation, I think that it's important that she's aware of the benefits of the ceramic coating as well, and all of the time that it's and money that is going to save you in the future. And so if she could be present for that conversation, I think it'll be very beneficial. Do you think that your wife might be able to be present on Saturday with us?
Yeah, I think she would be. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I think she could come with me on Saturday and we can just kind of recap our conversation and see if you guys are the right shop for us.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And yes, that way we can address any questions that she may have that come up as well. It's going to be a little bit hard for you to, of course, I don't know if you have a background in working with vehicles or ceramic coating, but it might be a little bit tougher to tell her later some of these,
Right, right.
yeah,
Yeah, I tell her
points.
everything about we were talking about this last night in bed and I mentioned ceramic coating and she looked at me like I was speaking a different language to her. She didn't know what it was. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think it'd be good that we come in person, we kind of see what's going on with the car, see what package you guys would recommend, and then go from there.
Okay, that would be wonderful, sir. So what I'll do right now, as soon as we get off the line here, is I'm going to go ahead and forward you over our address via text, and then we'll look forward to seeing you as well as our operating hours in case you decide that you want to come in at a different time, a little bit earlier this week. That's completely possible. You and your wife, of course. And so I'll send that information over to you right now. And if you decide that you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to give us a call. We'd be happy to address them. Also, on that text, you'll have a link to our website. Again, definitely do some homework on us, sir. We'd be excited for you to see not only all of the services that we have to offer, but also really specifically that ceramic coating in what our customers in the past have said about it and how it's benefited them. So I'll send that information over to you right now. And thank you so much for your time today.
Sounds good. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Bree.
Oh, you put me on the spot, so wonderful,
Um,
wonderful.
so let's break that down a little bit. So, first question is, would you say that most conversations go like that?
So some
Or is
conversations,
it kind of different?
I would say that a lot of the conversations do. You have to find yourself in a position with most, they'll allow you to control the conversation.
Hmm.
And so when I'm in full control of the conversation, then they usually look somewhat like the conversation that we just had.
And for somebody who's just getting into selling ceramic coatings, whether as a sales rep or as a owner operator, why is it important for them to take control of that conversation right off the bat?
Because so you if you don't, right, then you can get into a problem where the conversation is not organized at all. You're discussing price as soon as they pick up the phone, and you just don't want that. You really want a chance to prove your value, right? To speak to you to value, and also what solutions that you can provide way before you get to discussing anything along the price point.
That is a great point there because, like I said earlier, that's the biggest mistake we see clients and just detailers that we talk with every day make is somebody calls them, they ask about price, they give them price, and then the conversation ends there. But one thing that they're missing, and I think why having a well structured sales conversation is so important, is because now we get the opportunity to give context to that price, right? Because the price could literally be $100. And if the person on the other line doesn't know what they're buying,
Mhm.
it's hard for them to justify that price, right? Now, most coatings cost between $1,000 to $1,500 depending on the year, right? The paint correction type. But now you're selling something more expensive without giving context to that price, without explaining your process, without saying what kind of pain point that person is looking to solve, right? Without explaining who you are as a business, right? Adding that
Mhm.
personalization to the business. So that is a great point, right? Because
Exactly. Mhm.
if people aren't able to justify price, you could literally give it to them for free and they would not make an appointment or pull the trigger.
Exactly, exactly, and we see that all the time, even, with ourselves, right? Something can be 5 or $10,
Yeah.
walking past it, there's a inclination to grab the thing, and then you're justifying with yourself, I don't really necessarily
Yeah.
need that item," right? And so we're always having these conversations with ourselves, and so by the time they get to trying to justify their behavior and moving forward with this sales process and this service, we wanna make sure that they have all the information that they need to justify that actual sale or the purchasing of this service. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And not only just justifying the cost, I think the other thing that is also important and why we're structuring the conversation like this is because now you get them to make an informed decision, right? They have all the information they would need in front of them. You're the business presenting it to them in a very easy to understand way. But now they can make a decision that they're confident in
Mhm.
versus shopping around for quotes. Every single person that they're talking to is like stumbling with their words, not organized, they're rambling, right? All these things that can go wrong when they're getting those other quotes. That by the time they talk with you, Bree, it's like, wow, this person is asking the right questions, they're getting the right information, they have a well structured sales process to where they just want to see if they can help me,
Mhm.
right? They're getting all the information they need. And that is what's going to make or break that sale, right? Is kind of stacking each one of these, right? First, you build that rapport to build that trust. Then you explain to them what they're buying, try to get that person in person or answer any kind of objections or questions that they may have. And the last step is simply following up with them. And following up becomes a lot easier if you can take a little piece that you heard in that building rapport stage and you can now tie that into the follow up.
Exactly. Yes,
So
sir.
from start to finish, that's what the sales process looks like. And Bree, am I missing anything else when it comes to the follow-up process or the sales process itself?
I think you've covered it all, Sal. In the background, you want to make sure that as you've brought out in so many of your sales meetings, again, you want to really be building that brand so that some of that work is done before you even enter the conversation. And so if you have a strong
Yes.
brand, a strong online presence, then some of that work is going to be done for you. So that video content, yourself as the authority in the video content, those things are going to help you by the time you make it on the phone, by the time that person's actually in front of you in the facility as well.
Yes, 1000%. And that's why video content is so important these days. And it doesn't need to be super high production. You don't have to be in front of the camera, but just putting information out there where you're walking somebody through, hey, this is a 2023 Honda Accord that we have in our shop. This is what we did to it from start to finish. They went with this package. And you're just putting that information out there. Better if you run it as an ad, but now you're putting that information out there where somebody can see it,
Mhm.
right? And they can kind of get a better idea of exactly what service it is that you're offering without having to submit their information, without them having to hop on the call. So by the time they are ready for that phone call or they are ready for that in-person consultation, now they have more trust in you. They see what you look like, they see what kind of business you are. They can kind of get a better feel for your personality and it becomes so much easier to go through that sales process if that person's already comfortable with you. And this is actually something that I learned about myself earlier this year is that it's such a good feeling with all these videos that we're making, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, like just putting yourself out there gives people a good idea as to who you are as a person, right? And the more you can do that with advertising, with your videos, with photos, but tying that educational piece, now think about how different that conversation is going to go if I know who you are, Brie. Like I know what kind of person you are. I know how you talk. I know, right, how excited you get about talking about ceramic coatings, right? All of that's apparent to me to where now I have that trust in Brie that she's going to recommend the right package. She's going to give me the best price, and that from start to finish, my experience is going to be A1.
Exactly. Yes, sir. And you
Love
have to
it.
keep in mind, just like you said, so this is going to do some of the work for us. This is actually part of the sales process for them. So now you have this video that's working when you're not, and that
Yes.
person can actually watch it at whatever time they decide to. So it'll be the time that's ideal for them is when they'll pick up and they'll actually get lost. How many times have we all gotten lost in
Oh
on
yeah.
somebody's page on YouTube that we hadn't even known about a day before? And
Yes. Yes.
yeah, especially if we keep those videos brief. They don't have to be long videos. So yeah, so maybe 2 3 minute videos where they can just keep on scrolling, keep on learning,
Yep.
keep on getting familiar with your brand and what you have to offer as a business. Give them something to get excited about while they're at home. Something, again, we're looking at the visuals. We want them to be looking at the visuals. So something visually that they can take in that's going to be imprinted in their mind, so that when they speak to you the next time, they're more likely to move forward.
Yeah, and just as a closing thought here, everything we have outlined from the video content guide to the sales process, all of this is how you stop competing on price and how you start competing on value, right? You're actually showing somebody what that transformation looks like from how that vehicle looked before to when it was in your shop to how it left your shop, right? Now you're in a way better position compared to your competitors because you're not having to compete on price alone. And that's like the biggest mistake you can make as
Mhm,
you grow is just competing on price, because if you're competing just on price, you're getting one, the wrong type of clientele, and two, you're hurting yourself in the long run, right? You're going to burn out your staff members. It's not going to be sustainable. But if you could just make a couple videos, put them out there, educate people, now you're building a high quality audience from the beginning.
exactly.
So now you have people who are following your page, who like you as a person. Now it's the best feeling ever, especially when we hear this from clients where, hey, Sal, that ad that we're running is doing great. You know, people are calling me, they're asking for the guy in the video, like they want to talk to him because he knows what he's doing. They like his energy. So it all stacks up on top of each other where it's not a overnight process, but if you just chip away at it, you make those videos, you refine your sales process, at the end, you're going to get really great results just by having that personalized sales experience from the very start. And what kind of clientele would be best suited to have a sales rep like you, Brie?
So a clientele that's already had some leads coming in, a client that is a client of yours that would be struggling with, how do I follow up? When do I follow up? So I have all these leads coming in. They could open their high level right now and see 2,300 leads. Well, I've been in touch with maybe 20 of them this week. What about the
Yes.
rest of them? When is the last time you spoke to them? And so let's get some processes in place in order to strategically to get in touch with those people and keep the lines of communication open, remind them of the services that you're offering and the benefit that it's going to have for them. So let's get back in front of those people. We definitely don't want to pay for leads and then just have them fall by the wayside. So we want,
Yes.
yeah, we want to see everything that sell has been teaching you from the jump. We want to see that work, and sometimes that's not going to happen during that first call. So let's get some follow up going.
I love it. Brie, I want to thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure sitting down with you and getting to know from your firsthand experience what it's like dealing with ceramic coating leads, how to structure the conversation, and how to follow up with them. So thank you so much for your time, Brie.
Thank you, Sal. It's been a pleasure. I enjoyed myself here today.